Hello, everyone. This is Liz. I'm actually wearing my Midsummer mask just as a little subtle reminder that Midsummer is on Amazon Prime. So today is Thursday and it is Hulu slash Prime Day. We're going to get started with Amazon Prime. Again, I will forever say, hey, Midsummer's on there. Also, hey, Mommy Dearest is still on there. But the five that I have today are first off, The Italian Job. So I'm talking about the original I think it's 1968 or 69 film starring Michael Caine. So if you're only familiar with the Charlize Theron, Mark Wahlberg movie, this definitely has more of a comedy caper feel to it rather than a straight up heist caper. Um, so if you want some, like, again, a heist movie with a little bit of comedy, Italian Job is great. And also, I find Michael Caine eminently more watchable than Mark Wahlberg. Although Charlize Theron is flawless and great, and I love her. Up next, a great classic comedy directed by Warren Beatty, Heaven Can Wait, is on Prime. Fun fact, this was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, because, once upon a time, the Oscars used to have comedy in the Best Picture category. Also, this movie, because it was such a hit, was the one gave Warren Beatty a lot of clout in Hollywood, and this actually gave him sort of the clout that he needed to make the fantastic film Reds. So, if you don't know what Heaven Can Wait is, basically a sports star dies and wants to go back to Earth, but he can't. He's taken to Earth too early, or taken to heaven too early. But since his body's been cremated, now he's got to find another way to live, or another body in which to live. This is actually the second remake of a story. I think it's called Here Comes Mr. Jordan, and I believe it was also remade by Chris Rock in the movie Down to Earth. Up next, a Cher film, Mermaids, a movie that I absolutely love. Also, I think this is Christina Ricci's film debut, but Cher plays a mother. She's kind of someone who moves around a lot. She gets involved with a lot of men who are not great people to get involved with. And her daughter is Winona Ryder, who kind of wants to be a nun. Also, Bob Hoskins plays the man who's trying to woo Cher, which I love Bob Hoskins too. Just what a great presence in film. I mean, you have Cher, you have Bob Hoskins, you have Christina Ricci and Winona Ryder, four very talented and great performers. And Mermaids is a heartwarming and fun movie. Up next, going a little bit more modern with Juliet, naked. Nobody is naked in this movie, as far as I can tell. But it stars Rose Byrne, who is a delight. She stars as a woman who is in a not great relationship with a guy, but she ends up getting romantically involved with a musician played by Ethan Hawke, who is kind of the musical obsession of her current boyfriend, who is played by Chris O'Dowd. Very cute movie, although it's a little bit weird to say Chris O'Dowd is a very surly, like, I guess, insufferable person. I think he's charming in Bridesmaids and in stuff like The Sapphires. He is a little bit surly on the IT Club, but he's not insufferable. So, but still, he's great here. And again, Rose Byrne, Ethan Hawke, they're just great actors. And finally, going back to the classics, it's a mad, 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 mad world, which is the seminal sort of, speaking of capers, it's the seminal team up race to a place. This really, we've seen other films kind of imitate it now, this idea of there's a contest or there's a place we need to go. We need to get to the thing, and everyone is trying to get there by their own means. This is, I don't think, the first film that did it. I think it's been done before, but this is the film that I would say did it right and set the standard for how everyone should do it. Oft imitated, but I don't think ever really completely, it's never had an equal since then. And again, it's if you are a film baby, again, some of these older movies, some don't hold up, but some you should watch for the very sake of, well, this is what set the standard for this. It's like listening to older music. Yes, it has been done before since then, but you should listen to stuff like the Beatles because they set the foundation for so many other acts. On to Hulu, I am recommending a children's film, Que Surprise. It is an animated film that I watched as a kid, and I think it still holds up pretty well. Who knows? This could be nostalgia goggles, but it is the 70s animated version of Charlotte Webb. I still think this is a pretty good movie. It's got that weird little musical number with Templeton the Rat. I think all the voice acting is really good. Paul Lynde is in it, and That's great. And I think the ending is genuinely kind of sad. And it's something that I don't think a lot of, or I don't see a lot of kids' movies doing now, which is they aren't really that sad. They don't really allow for a lot of loss. Don Bluth, I think, did that in his 80s films really well. And again, if you've never watched it, or if you watched it as a kid and you want to see it again, Hulu does a Charlotte's Web. Up next, I had to get one horror movie in here, and that is the Nicolas Cage film Mom and Dad. I love Nicolas Cage, but I will admit, even as a super fan, his catalog is extremely hit or miss. However, I think Mom and Dad is definitely one of his better recent films. Also, a great recent film, Color Out of Space, which you can put on hold from the Derry Public Library. Just saying, if you're an H.P. Lovecraft fan, this is a good adaptation. So this is him and Selma Blair. They star as, married couple. They have two kids. So the premise of this film is one day parents just start wanting to kill their children. It is both a terrifying prospect and also kind of played for humor. It's I would say it's 28 Days Later meets. Oh, I can't think of what it meets. There's definitely the 28 Days Later vibe, but it is that idea of just one day someone's biological switch just turns, and rather than wanting to keep their kid alive at all costs, they want them dead. And it definitely plays on the idea of sometimes parents just want to kill their kids, and they kind of reference that. It also there is a funny way where they address grandparents as well, and I'll leave it at that. Also, a really good latter day performance from Selma Blair, who, due to having, I think, muscular dystrophy, is limited in her work, but I'm glad that she is still able to, get roles. Up next, a fantastic comedy, Best in Show. I would say potentially the best Christopher Guest movie. So Christopher Guest does a lot of movies like this: A Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman, where there are these ensemble comedies that are just based around very interesting characters, the colorful cast, if you will. And this is just everyone firing at all cylinders. Jennifer Coolidge, Jane Lynch, Catherine O'Hara, and Eugene Levy, who just, when those two are together, just humor sparks fly. Also, Parker Posey is fantastic, and the late, great, dearly departed Fred Willard is in this, who is hysterical. My dad watches a total of like 2 movies a year, and I think he actually saw this in a theater and loved it. So, if for no other reason than to just pay a tribute to Fred Willard, watch Best in Show. And finally, I am going to end with recommending to you one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm not being hyperbolic here, the greatest things to ever happen to humanity. I am talking about Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and I think I had something else written down, and the minute I saw Beyond the Valley of the Dolls on Hulu, I scratched it out with prejudice, because I'm like, nope, hold the phone, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls needs to be recommended. I think I've talked about this before. This is the Russ Meyer, Roger Ebert, yes, that's right, in addition to being probably the most well-known, well-loved film critic of all time, Roger Ebert penned this film that was both a response to and a spoof of Valley of the Dolls and the very moralized message movies of the late 60s. It's also a musical, and I'm not joking, the music is genuinely good. It is ridiculous. There is one of my favorite movie characters of all times, Ashley St. Ives, is in it, who Edie Williams, the actress, was married to Russ Meyer at the time. And Russ Meyer is mainly known for making like smut and exploitation, but never something that was like you felt gross watching. There was always like a wink at the camera where he's like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I mean, he made Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. Man's a treasure, in my opinion. I love this movie. I don't think there's any other movie like it. And it's also so tied to the time. I don't think there was ever another time they could have made this movie than the late 60s, early 70s. But it is bizarre. It is funny. I think it's a satire that does ultimately actually work. I just love it so much. I mean, I could just stay here talking about it forever, but that would bore you. But I would say if you want to see just a total time capsule movie, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is fantastic. And actually, I'd say it's more watchable than Valley of the Dolls. At least the camp value in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is intentional. I mean, I don't think Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is as bad as everyone, or Valley of the Dolls is as bad as everyone says, but still kind of not great. But Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, holy moly, so watchable and so weird, and I love it. It should come as no shock. So anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll watch one of these movies, and I will see you around with more movie recommendations. Bye!